Hey ladies, it's your girl Truly Inspired Martin, the Reset Coach. And if you're truly ready to go from BS to success, welcome to a new season of the Recrown You podcast. Everybody wants to be, but nobody wants to do. Girl, it's time to be real, raw, and relentless. Everybody wants to be, but nobody wants to do. You know it's time. Recrown you. What's up, guys? It's your girl, Truly Inspired Martin, and welcome to another episode of the Recrown You podcast, ladies. I missed y'all, man. I missed y'all. 2020 was definitely something real funny, real hectic, I don't know. I got a lot of words for it, but I'm going to just leave it as it's a blessing to still be here on the other side, right? So it's your girl, Truly Inspired Martin. I miss y'all so much, and I can't wait to hear from all of our guests this season. This is going to be so amazing, and I know it's exactly what we need to make the transition, right? So for those of you guys that are new to me, I go by the name of Truly Inspired Martin. I teach women how to go from BS to success in their life and in business by increasing their emotional intelligence and becoming more self-aware, right? So if this is your first time landing here on the Recrown You podcast, welcome. To all my loyalists, welcome back. Right. And y'all know what kind of platform this is, right? No BS around here. We educate and empower women who are ready, keyword, ready, to unleash their inner badass by moving from BS to success in their life and business. So around here, we're talking all things relationships, mindset, personal development, business and professional development, health and wellness, and a little bit of everything in between, right? Because to be a well-rounded woman, to be a woman that's unapologetic, to be a woman that is bold in who she is, you got to hit all the spectrum, okay? There is no one size fits all. And that's why I'm so excited about today's guest. Not only is she a very dear friend of mine, but she is a BOSS. Yes, I said it, boss. Because I don't care. People got all these different negative connotations on the word boss. But listen, when a woman can be a powerful woman as a wife, as a woman, as a business owner, and as a woman of God, listen, y'all out here tripping. That is a boss to me. And I'm excited to bring her for you guys today. So let me give y'all a little background. So we got Dacia. She leads as a business strategist working with established business owners to enhance their existing brand, marketing, and operations. She is a native of Chicago. Shout out to all the Chicagoans, right? She now calls Atlanta home. Her experience in serving clients for over 10 years has proven her ability to aid companies in maximizing their profits. After almost 2 decades of working with C-suite executives, celebrities, and notable political figures in HR, PR, development, funding, marketing, and overall operations and organizational development, she realized that she had a niche in solving problems and aiding leaders as they accomplish their goals. Sound like Olivia Pope to me, if I say so myself. So without further ado, today's episode is 5 ways to still be productive even when you're not okay. Whew. I'm going to be over here taking notes. So hopefully you guys are laid back with your bottle of wine and your piece of paper and pen because it's about to go down. So without further ado, Dacia, are you with me?
I am here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm super excited about today. How are you doing?
I am doing phenomenal. I cannot complain. I'm excited to be a part of this amazing platform, Recrown You. I'm a fan as well as a friend, but I'm also a fan for sure.
Oh, thank you. That really means a lot because, we just try to make it do what it do around here. But let's get into it. So I always like to start off, lighten up the room a little bit, right? So definitely tell us a little bit about you. And definitely I want to know a fun fact that maybe nobody knows, maybe not even me. So go ahead and tell me a little fun fact about you.
Sure. So my name is Dacia, and you can find me on all social media at Dacia Ruth. And it's funny for those that are listening, you mentioned, you called me Olivia Pope. And I've been called that a few times in servicing other clients. They've coined me as that. I might have to actually add that to the bio.
Yeah.
but I found myself over the years. I started in corporate America, and was working there for over 10 years. And then I moved to working for myself. I started in event production and started my own event production company in 2005. And from there have spun off to really help other business owners. They were always calling me for advice and always calling me for perspective. And I would just off the cuff. And this is prior to, business coaching even being really popular, honestly. I was always just getting called to say, okay, Dacia, I'm stuck. What do I do? And I coined it as a gift, honestly. I just knew how to position somebody differently. And I was able to identify their blind spot and say, hey, here's your blind spot, pivot this way. And they would be like, it would be the answer to, whatever their issue was. And so from there, I decided that let's just put a price tag on this, because I've been doing it for free for so long. And I started my own consulting business. And, so one fun fact about me, I've actually, you probably don't know this, but I actually worked with the Obama administration for his first term. I used to work for a popular Black-owned financial firm. I'll just call it that. And they were close friends with Mr. Obama, President Obama. And he, at the time, was running for his first term. And so I was the behind the scenes person to really work with his team to set up meetings, to coordinate like his favorite snacks, to prep his room, I ended up being an assistant to Barack Obama regarding his first term. So for his staff, which include like David Axelrod, Valerie Jarrett, Arnie Duncan, those were household names where I was supporting them through the first election, the first presidency in 2008. So I did a lot for that initial campaign.
Wow. Okay. First of all, definitely didn't know that, but I can definitely see it. I can definitely see that happening and being positioned accordingly, especially the way you carry yourself. I know you would be in those type of rooms. So that is definitely a fun fact. I mean, a fun fact for me about you is I found out like how small the world was, because my dad is he's from Jamaica, but my dad has lived in Chicago like my entire life with his stepmother. I said with his stepmother, y'all know what I meant. With my with my stepmother, Judge Shelvin Louise Marie Hall. So she's her and her family has been a real big asset. What?
Guess what?
Oh God, there's another fun fact.
There is another connector. And so I almost started to call you in the middle of the night when I saw this post, okay? But you posted recently about honoring your stepmom for her birthday, I believe. Was that?
Oh no, it was Delta Sigma Theta's.
Okay. You were honoring her for sorority, excuse me. And I've met her also. I was like, I did not know that was her stepmom. So I was in a wedding that your stepmom was an officiant for, and I've met her before. She's such a kind sweetheart. Yes, I talked to her for a little bit. She's amazing.
How small is that?
That's crazy. And so I told my husband, Tom, I said, listen, this is crazy. I already knew her dad because I worked with him before years ago. And then I did not know that was his wife, right? And your stepmom, I'm like, this is crazy. This is just crazy.
That was like divine alignment. I was like, how do I just find Dacia here? And she knows like the whole, you probably know my cousins too.
Right. I need you to start pulling up all the pictures, because I might know more people that so it's just a small world.
It is a small world. And I love how the connectors, like seeing you on my dad's website. And I'm like, why does she look like somebody I see all the time? And I'm like, oh my God, point blank. Like, it is so amazing how things align. And some of the things that you were saying, even in your fun facts, I'm thinking to myself, like, people call call on you when they're stuck. And that's exactly what the hell happened with me. Like, I remember calling you like, I got this idea, but I'm stuck with how to go A to B or whatever the case was at the time. And it was like, okay, take out some pen, take out some paper. Let's do this. Like, it wasn't like let's just try to figure it. You ain't tiptoe around it. You was like,
No.
let's get to it. And I was like, yo, that is a gift. That definitely is a gift because I can't break it down the way you do. So
Girl. And you know what? It's funny. I remember that day. And I remember, we've all been there. So we have a moment where we're just stuck. And that's the beauty of having somebody else to come in and be able to identify where you are.
yeah,
Because that's why you need people like you and I who are service coaches to others. Because sometimes you just need that outside perspective. And when you're used to being solution oriented, you can easily identify and create better strategies. Honestly, when I was talking to you, I didn't have any preconceived ideas, prior to us talking. It was just a flow. And it was
yep,
like, oh, I hear you saying this. Okay, well, this is what you could do. And before we got off the phone within 30, 40 minutes, you had a well-oiled, starting point.
yeah.
You definitely had to build on that, but you had a great starting point. And I'm excited to see what you've been building thus far since that conversation. That was almost like 2 years ago, almost now.
It definitely was, and that was
That's crazy.
a whole conversation because between you and Connie, y'all are like my go-to team. Like when
Yes,
it comes
ma'am.
to really making something happen, you guys are so good at what you do. And I was just having a conversation with Connie the other day, and I said, "Yo, I forgot to tell because I'm getting ready to teach a course on this. So
Awesome.
y'all are getting first listen on this." But
Yeah.
I'm actually getting ready to do a course because I was talking to somebody and they was like, Dana, you'd be crazy if you don't teach that. I was able from 2019 to 2020, I just ran my numbers. I was able to increase my income, my consulting revenue by 374%. And
Yes.
that was
Come on,
based
dollars.
and that started as a conversation with you and Connie.
Awesome. Awesome.
So I can't even play with people right now and hold you all to myself. So I gotta let people get this drip from you. Okay. So we're talking about 5 ways. We're talking about 5 ways to still be productive even when you're not okay. I want to know these 5 ways, honey. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So the reason why I created this title is because let's be honest, in 2020, here we are, 2021, we are still surviving after 2020. And
Yep.
I decided, you know what, as we watch the news, the recent happenings with our government and, these supremacist groups that are just taking over. Nothing new, right? And we're not surprised. I saw a lot of commentary like, I'm not surprised. But the reality is, we are impacted. And so, as we are affected, impacted, how do you maneuver in the season of life when you're just not all the way okay? And I don't think anybody, I literally, I have people that call me, as friends or just as associates, church members and things like that. I literally had someone call me this morning and they cried on the phone with me for almost 40 minutes over some really devastating news. And so as we tried to work through it, it was just a point where it's just like, we just have to embrace where we are. And so the number one thing is to acknowledge where you are. And even for this conversation that I had, and the person was really trying to get it together, but they have a loved one that's ill. They had they had to have an emergency surgery, and it just wasn't in compound with everything else that's been going on for them in their lives. They're like, I just can't take this. And so sometimes you just have to push pause and acknowledge, like, okay, I'm not okay. And I think, we've heard that before, but I think for Black women in particular, sometimes we even struggle with just saying, I'm not okay. Because then that means that we're identifying with the vulnerability, the weakness, or we feel like that as a result of that, we have to fall apart. No, I'm not encouraging you to just fall apart and just, turn into a blob and do nothing. But just acknowledging and identifying where you are is critical. And so, when we are, I think about it in terms of when you have a friend and they're like, okay, can you come pick me up? And you're like, the first thing that you ask when somebody calls you and asks you to pick them up is, okay, well, where are you? And in order for somebody to come and pick you up, or in order for somebody to meet you where you are, in order for somebody to give you support, you have to identify where you are. And so you can only identify to others where you are unless you're able to be self-aware enough to acknowledge how you're really doing and be like, you know what? This season just isn't quite working for me. And going back to this example of this person that I was trying to coach, she was crying profusely and she kept trying to say, but I'm okay. And I had to say to her lovingly and kindly, just to say, hey, sis, it's okay for you to have a moment right now where you're unpacking and you're not okay. Let's let it out.
Right.
Let's just get it out. So anyway, so as we move forward, you know, you acknowledge where you are. You say, okay, I'm aware of myself and I realize that I'm just not doing the best that I can. Then the next thing you need to do is, you don't have to do it alone. So you have to admit that you need some support. So you acknowledge where you are. And number 2 is you admit that you need some support. And so what does that mean? We can all acknowledge that we have at times felt like we needed support, but you don't even know where to start. So it can look like a lot of things. Number 1, you have to be, it might be just hiring a virtual admin. You know, you might need to hire somebody. And right now they have beautiful rates. There's virtual admins. You can get them for $8, $9, $10, $11 an hour, right? Just to help you if it's, you know, if you're an entrepreneur, you have a long laundry list of things, figure out some things you can delegate and then hire up that virtual admin. It could be telling a friend. So many times we're suffering in silence. I know you've talked about that before. And when you're suffering in silence, it helps just to bring light to it and to connect with a friend and say, hey, I just wanted you to let you know that I'm struggling right now. I'm having a hard time. You know, I don't want to talk about it, or you do. So you don't have to necessarily have that as a time where you just unload and dump to them every single thing that's bothering you. But I just want you as a friend to know that I'm not okay in this season. And so if I'm acting different, or if I'm not as accessible or what have you, I want you to know why, because this is going on with me.
Yes. Yes.
And so, because so many times, you know, we just don't, we're by ourselves. We're socially distant. We're connecting virtually, but oftentimes people are just, you don't even know that somebody's going through. So even just to say, hey, can you, you know, if you're a praying person, can you pray for me? Or, hey, can we schedule a meetup virtually? Can we check in, you know, every second Tuesday at 10 a.m., you know, just so we can have something on the calendar where we know that this is set aside time for us to connect. And I can share with you what's going on with me. I can give you some updates and we can just check in, because I'm just struggling in this season. So scheduling, not just having a, you know, acknowledging to your friend, but scheduling that check-in with them is a form of just garnering that support. Also, let's take this time to plug in therapy, right? So therapy is another way that you can just admit that I need some emotional, spiritual, mental support. And so I'm always an advocate for online therapy. It's so accessible. I actually have a code if you want to get 20% off of therapy. So Dana, I'll send you the link for that. But if anyone is looking for online therapy, like, go get it. It's there for you, and it's reasonably priced. Cheaper than your Jordans, right?
Hey, listen.
You could go ahead and get you some help, you know, for the month. You know, you standing in them long lines for that PS5, run that online therapy for 3 or 4 months. Go get it. Let's see what's up. So anyway, and then also want to, as far as admitting that you need support, it could also be hiring a cleaning staff. We underestimate the beauty of having somebody just come in, and if it's for 2 hours to do your laundry, wash your dishes, maybe do some deep cleaning. You know, if you're stressed out, if you're not productive, your workspace is going to impact you. And if your house is not kept because you're just not feeling yourself and you're feeling off, then maybe you need to delegate that part too. And there are many resources out there, and for under like $100, you can go and get your house clean.
Listen, I need you to tell people this, for the people all the way in the back.
In the back.
Act like that make you lazy or something. Nah.
Listen. I'll tell you, sometimes, and then the reality is, especially, okay, listen, you're a wife, if you're a mom, you trying to hold it down on the entrepreneurial front, you're trying to hold it down at all, or you're in corporate America, you're still working from home, trying to help them with work, schooling from home. Sometimes you just got to delegate. You only have two hands, and it's okay that you can't do it all. It's okay. And then if you can't afford, let's say, just always like to give the economically friendly option. If you can't afford it, then maybe this is a chance where you can say, hey, girlfriend, can I cook you dinner, and in exchange, could you help me with XYZ project? I really need to redo my closet. Or let's have a packing party and let's pack up some of this, stuff that let's go through raid my closet and try to figure out what I don't need anymore because I got too much stuff going on. Utilize your support system, utilize your community, but they don't know when you don't say anything. So number 3, talking about emptying out and purging. Number 3 is empty out. So you want to, and this is a mental empty out, but then you also can do a physical empty out. So figure out what clutter is happening in your space, whether mentally or physically, and get rid of it. You holding on to books and clothes that you ain't never touched, that stuff is going to hinder your productivity. Your space is going to hinder your productivity. So get rid of it. But then on the mental side, let's say that, and this has happened before. I'm sitting at the desk. I'm about to get started on a new project. I'm trying to write a proposal to a new client, right? And then I can't focus. So then I take a moment, I pull out a sheet of paper and I just do a brain dump. Whatever comes to mind, whatever's in my head, I'm just writing it down. Okay. And then some people may even find, if you follow The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, right? It's a popular book. If you haven't got it, I would suggest getting it. She focuses on, Julia Cameron is a really popular writer, and she's in New York, and she wrote several books. And her premier book was The Artist's Way, and it taught you or teaches you how to get out of your own way in terms of writing better content. And so she has this exercise. She has several exercises in the book, but one is called morning pages. And so morning pages is this exercise where you sit in the first thing in the morning. You grab your journal, you grab your notebook, you grab some sheets of paper, and you write for 3 pages straight. And you don't let your pen come off the paper. So even if that means when you start writing, you're like, I don't have nothing to write down, I don't have anything to write at this moment. And I would keep writing, I don't have anything to write. And then something else will come up. And you'd be surprised how easy it is to come up with 3 pages full of content, or 3 pages full of just stuff that was on your head, or maybe it's affirmations, or maybe it's just things that are bothering you. You'd be surprised when you dump out all of that stuff, what comes up and how much clearer you feel. And you're really able to start your day feeling fresh, renewed, and emptied out. We hold so much. Another way to empty out, a recommendation is to do a voice recording. And this is really helpful if you're, let's say you're somewhere where you can't really take a phone call, or you're driving, or you don't really want to tell anyone else what's really going on with you, but you feel like you need to get it out instantly. Pick out your phone. You can do a voice recording and just talk to your voice recording and get it out. And there you're uncensored, right? There's no judgment, and you can say whatever the heck you got to say. And then you can either decide to keep it or you can delete it. I also have to, as a woman of faith, I also have to always encourage you to go to God to empty out. And so prayer, meditation, deep breathing, these are all great strategies for how to empty out when you're just feeling like, I don't know how to get focused in this season. So those are things that I recommend as step number 3. So empty out. So we have number 1, acknowledge where you are. 2, admit you need support. 3, empty out. And number 4 is embrace you. And this sounds so simple. And that's the beauty of this list, is that it is very simple. You don't want anything that's too complex when you're already feeling overwhelmed, stressed out, and feeling like you have a million and one things to do. You can't have a complex list to add on to your stressors. But the reality is that you are you for a reason. And I'll tell you a story. One time I was listening to, or actually I had a life coach. This was several years ago, and I was meeting with a life coach, and he and I were talking, and he asked me to tell me about things that brought me joy. And one of the things that brings me joy and will always bring me joy is music, singing, songwriting. And so he told me that because that's a part of who you are, and that's, what really brings you happiness, you will always feel uneasy, or you won't feel fulfilled is a better word. You won't feel fulfilled unless you're tapping into that element of your life. Whether you do it just for a hobby or just for fun, you still need that as a part of your life regimen, because it's a part of what fulfills you. And so that turned on a light bulb for me. And times where I don't, take a moment to listen to music or just sing just for the fun of it, or write songs, those creative things that we tend to disregard. When you tap into those things, it helps you just to feel better, and you become more productive, believe it or not. So what I would recommend for you to do is make a list of things that you enjoy. What are you interested in? What hobbies would you like to explore? Pour back into yourself by tapping into, what did you love to do as a kid? Was it dance? Was it tap? Do you like to paint? Do you like to draw? Do you like to just, what brings you peace? Is it walking in nature? Whatever it is, make a list of all those things that you enjoy. I'll tell you a quick story. I was working with a client, and they were having a tough time. And I wanted to help them they had a few things that were on their list that weren't popular. They loved some nerdy things that they felt like other people may not get, but they love them. They love, cartoons. They love X, Y, and Z. I don't want to go into specifics, but they loved what they loved. And although it wasn't popular, it was their stuff. So, I encouraged her to say, you know what, if you love anime, girl, go get all the anime that you can absorb at one time and go binge on it, right? That's not for anyone else besides you. So be true to you, embrace what you love, and go for it. And number 5, it is identify the nouns that are optional and push pause. And I say that because, listen, so we have people, places, and things that we are committed to that we don't have to be. I'm going to say that again. We have people, places, and things that are optional, but you don't, and you're committed to this optional. You're committed to this, and it's optional. Ooh. You don't have to remain committed to it. You don't have to remain committed to it. So let me give you an example. I had a client, and I was talking to them, and they were really lamenting about they were working out at a facility, and they felt like everyone else at the facility looked like a supermodel, or they looked like some of these IG models. They came with the really cute outfits on, and they were already, fit in all the right places. And she said, every time I go in here, I don't feel good about myself. The coach the fitness person that I'm working with, the trainer, he's, I feel like he doesn't speak to me. He speaks to some of the other girls, like maybe I'm not pretty enough. And so I'm questioning myself. And so she was sharing all of this stuff. And so I said, listen, why are you going there? What? There are hundreds of places you can go to work out. You can work out at home. You're like, and the reality is, I've done it. I'm sure you could think about it, areas where you've done it. We've all committed to something, and we're like, I really don't enjoy that. It does, you know what I mean? Like, it really doesn't bring me peace. And I said, listen, especially when you go work out, that's supposed to be a time where you're actually enjoying it. This is a stress reliever. It's not supposed to bring you extra stress. So I was like, so what we're going to do is, and the reason why I say push pause is because sometimes you just need to pause and then take a moment to reflect, and then decide if you want to commit to a full on, okay, I'm completely done with this. So sometimes completely Xing out something or cutting something off, that commitment can be too strong, right? So we have you can commit in stages. But the first thing you can do is just push pause. Like, this isn't serving me. This friendship isn't serving me. This relationship isn't serving me. Toxicity can show up in a lot of different places. But instead of sometimes it's too intimidating. I've worked with people who were really struggling and they were in toxic relationships, abusive relationships. And you can't come in, I'm sure you know, Dana, you can't just come into them and say, okay, girl, yeah, go ahead, get rid of them tomorrow. That doesn't work like that, right?
Not at
and
all.
It's the same thing for other, and this is why I say nouns. So identify those nouns, because it can be people, places, or things that just aren't serving you. Instead of just saying like, okay, I'm just going to completely cut this off, I'm just going to push pause. I'm not going to answer the phone today when they call. I'm going to tell them that, I need a day or two, so that you can see what that feels like when you just push away from a few moments versus saying, I'm just going to cut this off. Because, that cutoff culture, that's a whole nother conversation.
Hashtag you cut off. Cancel them.
Listen, we so ready to cancel with that cancel culture. We so ready to cancel, cut off, and sometimes that's why I say push pause, because sometimes when you pause, you realize maybe it's them, maybe it's not them, but you just maybe need a break, because not all friendships you need to completely throw away. But maybe you just need to create some better boundaries so that you can be refreshed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you don't have to throw the whole situation away. So anyway, that's just my top 5. Again, number 1, acknowledge where you are. Number 2, admit you need support. Number 3, empty out, and that's physically and mentally. Number 4, embrace the things you love, celebrate who you are. And number 5 is identify those things that aren't serving you well and push pause.
Oh Lord! Listen, I took all those notes. I was like, if she don't run them back, I'm running them back for y'all, because I ain't playing with y'all. Okay, like, this was really, really powerful, and I think that's how you start with a strong foundation for 21. Like you really have to set yourself up mentally, physically, emotionally, in all ways. Like, and you definitely touched on being self-aware, which I'm so excited that you did, because that's what this breaks down to.
Yeah.
Like, if you still want to be a boss, if you still want to attain the success that you so desire and deserve, you're going to have to put some things in play. And my therapist, honey, I'm gonna need you to make sure that you tell everybody the link that they need to go to with your code or whatever.
Oh, yes.
Because therapy is a whole vibe.
It is. So I have a bit.ly link. It goes bit.ly/takeaction2021. And take action is all lowercase. So bit.ly/takeaction2021. And you get 20% off of your online therapy session for your first month.
Yes. And for my people in the back, make sure that you check with your insurance to see if they offer therapy, because this whole time I've had Kaiser for the past 2 years, didn't even know that I get it as a part of my plan. Duh.
Listen.
Okay, so I've been going to therapy since last year, and honey, it's a vibe.
It's a necessity.
It is a necessity. I want to thank you so much for sharing so much of yourself today and just hanging out with me, but also leaving some teachable, tangible resources and strategies on the table so that our ladies can walk with proper posture. So thank you so much for that. And I can't let you go until you tell people how to get in touch with you and how they can work with you.
Yes. So you can find me on all social media at Dacia Ruth, and that's DACIA RUTH. And you can also book an empowerment session with me via my website at daciaruth.com. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you. So thank you so much, Dana, for having me. I really appreciate you. You know, you're phenomenal.
Oh, thank you, love. Thank you so much for coming out. Ladies, y'all better go ahead and connect with Dacia. She is the truth. She is bold. She is about her business. And if you're a woman that says that you want everything that you say that you want, then you'll make sure that you align yourself with the right people, because you cannot grow in a desert, baby. You got to get somewhere where you can be planted and blossom. And that's the kind of energy we on for 21. So in the meantime, in between time, ladies, I'm going to catch y'all next time.
You know it's time. Recrown.